Budget Committee Chairman Jodey Arrington. Mr. Chairman, it's great to have you this weekend. Thank you so much for being here.
Great to be with you. Good to see you.
So what should we expect? We saw the two plans fail in the Senate at the end of the week. What are your expectations in terms of coming up with something, anything, in just these last couple of legislative days left for the year?
Well, Republicans should not work with Democrats to extend this Obamacare COVID-era fraud-ridden subsidy that is further bankrupting the system. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says that there are 6+ million people on the program who are not eligible. The nonpartisan Government Accountability Office says that Social Security numbers are being used multiple times, in one case 125 times. Social Security numbers from dead people, tens of thousands, are being used to siphon money off and subsidize insurance companies. Again, this is throwing good money after bad. We have to, and it's propping up the underlying Obamacare, which is actually driving cost up. It has been the Unaffordable Care Act. So the first thing is stop doing further harm. Don't expand more subsidies from the COVID era, and then start to fix what's broken about Obamacare, make the private markets more competitive with more affordable options, and codify some of the things that President Trump's doing, like association health plans, expand the health savings accounts and health reimbursement accounts for small business employees. So there are plenty of ways for us to make this healthcare system more affordable and bring costs down for working families. But it starts with no more Obamacare subsidies from COVID.
Yeah. No, I know that this affordability message has now become a message that the Democrats want to own going into the 2026 election. But if Obamacare was such a failure and it ended up being much more expensive than anyone thought, isn't that the message that they tried, they blew it, that the Democrats have a problem on affordability because they came out with this plan that was way too expensive?
Yeah, that would be the most obvious way for Republicans to start the conversation. We're spending tens of billions of dollars, now twice as much because of the COVID-era subsidies on Obamacare, and yet premiums are skyrocketing. They've almost doubled since the inception of Obamacare. So things aren't getting better in terms of cost. The outcomes aren't getting better. We got more fraud and waste than we know what to do with. And so and by the way, Democrats want a clean extension. They don't want any reforms to address this. No more program integrity measures, no anti-fraud. And they fought us when we were saving $1 trillion in the big, beautiful bill for broader anti-fraud controls over, government waste and programs like Medicaid. So, yes, that would be the place to start, Maria, and then lay out how we can create more competition, more innovation, more choice, and lower cost. And we have the answers. The question is, do we have the will?
Yeah. Well, yet Democrats are slamming President Trump on affordability. He's out there, meanwhile, delivering on promises to put more cash into the pockets of American workers. Watch Caroline Levitt this week. Here she is.
Americans can also expect another boost to their bank accounts in the months ahead, as 2026 tax refund season is upon us after the holidays, and it's projected to be the largest ever, thanks to President Trump's passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Their refunds could be about 1/3 larger than usual, or roughly an extra $1,000 per filer.
Well, this is a big deal. You're the chairman of the Budget Committee. I want to hear about this. There are still blue state governors who are deliberately blocking Trump's tax relief to American citizens. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that liberal strongholds like Colorado, New York, Illinois, and D.C. are refusing to adopt key provisions of the president's One Big Beautiful Bill and denying low and middle income households access to benefits like no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. How is that possible if this is federal law now?
I'm not surprised by this. They want to win in November. They want their hands on the levers of power, and they're willing to hold the American people hostage, in this case, prevent them from getting the tax relief that they desperately need after 4 years of reckless spending and disastrous economic policies that have lit the fuse on this inflationary firestorm that they're now trying to blame on President Trump. Meanwhile, mortgage rates are coming down, auto loan rates are coming down, credit card payments are going down, wages are going up, investments up. We have almost twice the the economic output that we had on an annual average basis for the last 10 years, and people are putting more money in their pockets, and that's going to get better when they get those tax refund checks. And I think Piper Sandler did a survey or an assessment that it'll be close to $100 billion or $1,000 per filer. So we're building momentum. We're seeing an economic virtuous cycle that's only going to get better and stronger as we come into November. Meanwhile, the only play that Democrats know how to run is impeachment and obstruction, and they're willing to hurt their own people in the process.
Are you going to be able to get all the appropriations bills done so that you could stop a potential government shutdown at the end of January? Will your colleagues do it again in January?
My Democrat colleagues, I don't think, are going to touch the stove again. And I hope that we can wrap that up and not increase spending, because we have a lot of COVID bloat still in the system, and we're still borrowing almost $2 trillion. But Maria, because of the big, beautiful bill, and not just good tax policy, good energy policy, but $1.5 trillion in wasteful spending cuts that have actually brought the deficit down for the first time in several years, that's another reason that we're making life more affordable, because interest rates, long-term and short-term, are coming down. Economy's improving. We'll see better jobs and bigger paychecks in the new year. So things are going as we anticipated. We said if past was prologue from the first Trump administration and the policies and great results, then we would see even more of that when we put these policies in place and supercharge them to reignite the economy. Again, it's happening. I don't blame the American people for being a little skittish. They were lied to for 4 years. The Inflation Reduction Act, Affordable Care Act, there was no shame in the false advertisement. Meanwhile, they were getting pummeled by high cost, high prices, a terrible economy. And so there's a lot of repair to do from the 4 years of damage.
Sure. No wonder we had 40-year highs in inflation under Joe Biden, with all of that $7 trillion in spending and all those packages you just mentioned. Mr. Chairman, good to see you. Thanks very much. We'll be watching your work.
Great to see you.